Hey everybody, welcome back to my show. I hate doing this. Anyways, cryptids, that's what we're talking about today. Cryptids. Oh boy, where do I even start? Let's go give you some lore, alright? Some background information.
Saint Bernard sits at the top.
The hell of a man. Bernard Hell of a Man pronounced this term in his fat-ass book in 1955. It was translated and published to the rest of the world. Cryptozoology is actually a derivative of three Greek words. Cryptos, which means hidden, zoon, which is animal, and logos, which is discourse. Mr. Hell of a Man said, it's hidden animals, and, you fight, Discord by the Living Tombstone. In his own words, it's the study of hidden animals. And how do you find out about these hidden animals? That's the thing. How do you discover? What's the evidence, right? Well, there's three types of evidence. There is. Holy shit! I cannot read for the life of me, can I? A topical. There's three types of proof to show that these cryptids are actually real things, right? A topical, testimonial, and evidential. So, first of all, a topical. What is that? It's anything that's physical, basically. Usually photographs and videos of, animals. Or, cryptids, you know what I mean? Like, the hidden videos of Bigfoot. Seeking Bigfoot, that thing from, what was it? Animal Planet? BBC? And then there's testimony, which is basically word of mouth. So, if I ever said, I saw a man get stabbed 31 times and then get his eyes poked out with an ice pick in South Atlanta, you might believe it. It's not always trustable, but, it's still evidence. And then there's circumstantial, which is not necessarily a direct form of, evidence. It's more of, a support. It's supporting evidence for your claim, you know what I mean? It's like a little mercy in your pocket that you can't get off your ass. Your fucking crit soldier that you can't just take off. Bro, you're already beating everyone, dude. Fuck off. Let the rest of us play. Come on now. What, the rest? Bong da da dong 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 dong.
Terrifying creature called Nien. This is where our story begins. A long time ago, there existed a quiet village. The villagers lived simple, peaceful lives and were generally quite happy. Things would change, however, on the eve of the Lunar New Year, as the villagers began their preparations to hide from what was soon to come. High in the mountains lived a horrible demon creature called Nien. This monster resembled a lion with sharp horns and menacing teeth. Throughout the year, he would sleep soundly until the Lunar New Year arrived.
Damn, I wish I could live like that, Jesus.
When he would descend upon the village, Nien would devour crops, gobble up livestock, and any child it found would...
Holy shit, I was talking about the eating children part, Jesus Christ. Don't look like a person that's into four.
disappear. In fear, the villagers would lock up their homes and hide until Nien had passed. One year, as the fateful day approached, an old beggar entered the village. Seeing everyone locking up their homes, he asked if anyone was willing to offer him a place to stay. The villagers, however, were too concerned with protecting themselves that they paid no attention to the old man. An old woman from the east side of the village saw the poor man. She brought him some food and explained why everyone was in such a panic.
Holy shit, if that's not a chef! Jesus, you see the lust in her eyes? God damn! Whew, they cook it up so fucking chemistry and more, if you know what I mean. Holy shit. Well, you know what? Put that shit in an AO3 top fic, I'm telling you. Old man from Nan's story and old woman from Nan's story.
Once midnight arrived, so did Nien. Normally, the village remained completely silent and dark. However, this year, there was something different. At one end of the village, Nien could see lights in the distance. Approaching cautiously, Nien drew closer to the home. Once Nien arrived, it found the home of the old woman had been covered with red papers, and bright light was coming from inside. It began to tremble and growl in fear.
Okay, okay. If I was a big, scary monster and I went into a town that's usually like all blacked out, windows are closed and everything. I see one house, only one house, but first of all, it's the only house that's lit, right? And there's red plastered all over. Why would I go in there? Come on now, be smarter. Jeez.
Enraged by such unusual and irritating things, Nian charged the front door, but was met by a barrage of loud, intimidating cracks and flashes, stopping Nian in his tracks.
Holy shit, he's back in heat.
To celebrate their triumph over the beast, the villagers donned similar bright red outfits and visited neighbors to share the joy. The news quickly spread, and soon after, Nian was no longer a threat to anyone. As the years passed, these traditions were formed, and the fear that the new year had once caused was replaced with excitement and celebration, and everyone would stay up late to welcome the new year.
Great video, great video. Show your kids, definitely won't give them trauma. I mean, okay, that's the thing. At least this, folk story, this cryptid, it teaches a good moral, right? I mean, morally good, right? It's barely even harmful at all. I mean, what's the worst it can do? Like the shrapnel from the firecrackers? Like, Jesus, that shit hurts. Like, Christ. Don't bring a old peepaw. What is that? Wait a second. Holy shit, that actually might just explain it. Well, besides reminding us of the American War, it is just, general cleanliness, preparing for the new year. Nothing too bad, right? Just wearing a lot of red. Nothing harmful. This is ancient Chinese history, so maybe we should do something more about it. That was a really bad clap.
Her hair is long and black, her nails sharp. She thirsts for blood. Once vibrant, alive, and pregnant, she's none of those things anymore. The Pontianak are Southeast Asia's infamous vampiric mothers.
What? What? I can't eat on a job? I'm watching a video, for Christ's sake. What are you on about? My shirt? What? I can't have preferences? What happened to Second Amendment?
Pontianak can disguise herself in the physical form of a beautiful young woman who seems fragile and delicate, a facade she uses to lure her victims in. In both human and ghost form, the long, flowing black hair of the creature creates a stark contrast against its white robes. When in their spectral form, they are vicious and gruesome. You can hear them swooshing or making a rustling sound like leaves crackling as they glide through the sky, followed by a loud shrieking sound right before attacking and drinking the blood of the victim.
She can suck my blood any day.
The Pontianak is a tortured female body in part because it is trapped between the warring influences of Islam and traditional Malay culture and religious practices. In Islamic ideals, the female body is heteropatriarchal, in deep contrast with the more egalitarian Malay indigenous gender traditions. But the very thing that defines the identity of a woman in both cultures, motherhood, is what enables the supernatural existence of these ghosts. The Pontianak is both seductive and repulsive.
Repulsive? That's a matter of opinion.
A creature to desire and fear. She is monstrously feminine. Not all women who die during childbirth or while pregnant become a Pontianak. Only those who suffer at the hands of men. That is one of the defining aspects of this monster. The unhappy death in the Pontianak stories is a defining aspect of the monster and is brought on by sexual or physical violence during pregnancy or outright murder. So this tormented ghost woman embodies two of the most defining features in much of women's history: patriarchal violence and the dangers of childbirth.
I mean, she has a good point. Like, if my husband killed me when I was pregnant, I'd be pissed off. I'll have the shit out of him. She did an amazing job talking about this. I mean, she basically did my job for me. It seems to be that the culture that surrounds different cryptids, change how they are. Because, like she said, it's a patriarchal system that the people, lived in. That's why monsters like the Pontianak exist. I mean, it makes sense, right? For Nian, it basically gives the Chinese people why you should celebrate the new year, right? It's a triumphant celebration of defeating a thing that was tormenting you for a long time. It's poetic. And it seems to me that the Pontianak is a reflection of all the patriarchal and sexist oppression of women. Okay. Well, there seems to be a pattern going on here. Let's check out one more cryptid just to make sure. How about that? Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the show. I have a change of pants, and also guess what I have? My ass. A fucking light bulb. I hope no big, strong, 10-foot wingspan Mothman comes to steal it away from me, because this can make a lot of light. And I heard moths like light. The Mothman.
The Mothman? A large, red-eyed, human-sized creature that flies? But if such a creature exists, where could it have come from?
Mothman is one of the most enigmatic creatures in the annals of the unexplained, and first gained public notoriety in November of 1966. And within a matter of days and weeks, there were dozens or perhaps hundreds of sightings of this creature around the Point Pleasant area, causing a mass hysteria situation. Skeptics have attributed the Mothman sightings to a misidentification of giant owls or even a crane that is local to the area.
He has allegedly a 10-foot wingspan. How do you mistake that for a swine? Is that even the right word, a swine? How do you mistake that for a crane, an owl? One goes cacan, I goes.
There's all kinds of other explanations that have been given, but when you interview the people that actually saw and experienced this, they're not talking about anything that is conventionally known.
West Virginia people are outdoorsy people. They know all the animals in the woods. Most are avid outdoorsmen, hunters, fishermen. They know the difference between an owl and a Mothman type creature.
Are you sure about that? What if you're delusional? They are from Ohio. Well, not even like the Ohio thing, it's just like everyone's fucking delusional, dude. Everyone's delusional. I'm delusional. You're delusional.
We have to consider that the Mothman's behavior, which involved chasing cars at over 100 miles an hour, taking straight up off the ground like a helicopter, none of those would indicate any type of flesh and blood animal.
Chasing cars at over 100 miles an hour. If true, then this thing is no owl. At least not a normal one.
I mean, that was a great intro to Mothman, but I mean, I don't feel like it gives enough context, right? Or maybe I'm actually withholding information from you. Ooh. I mean, okay, first of all, Mothman was never outwardly malicious. It was creepy, but it was never violent. Sightings started during the hippie era, which was also during the Vietnam War. So during the hippie era, what they were serving up was basically a main course of a distaste for violence, and along with that, a side of questioning authority. That's the thing. I feel like it was a false recollection of memories, basically. They saw something which resembled the Mothman, and most likely because it did look similar to the comics, their brain tried to basically justify their rationale, so basically they made up a whole entire false narrative of the Mothman, which is very common. That's the thing. Every single time we say a story, for example, or recall a story about how little Billy Joe Bob basically fell down the stairs, is going to get slowly more and more exaggerated as we try it out. Say it, right? So I'm guessing all these gravediggers, those 5 gravediggers that first saw the Mothman, and to justify it, they basically bounced off ideas constantly, unknowingly, maybe subconsciously, and made a Mothman. Alright, I've been talking for way too long. Let's review the 3 cryptids we looked at. First of all, we looked at Nian, an ancient Chinese animal dog thing that eats crops, livestock, and children. The Pontianak, a haunting ghost of a woman who haunts all that have wronged her while she was pregnant, and a mysterious, mythical Mothman. So we've both gotten very comfortable and uncomfortably close to these cryptids, but we've touched upon the subtext. We haven't been able to really dive deep into it. Well, I believe they're representations of our themes, basically. For example, look at Nian, which The word itself actually means year in Chinese. Think about the new year, right? It's a fresh new start. Think about your resolutions. Are you going to finish them? Think about the pitfalls you're going to see in the next year. Isn't it daunting, right? Doesn't it feel engulfing? Doesn't it feel like it's going to eat you? Or at least everything you care about? The Pontianak, a frail woman in disguise, but truly a vampiric monster that will rip you open and feed off of you. It's a poetic exaggeration of the sexist views and actions committed upon women, and it's coming back to claim the lives of the ones who have wronged them. And then there's the Mothman, which is the most recent one. And I think he's a little bit special because he's seen as a lot more cute now, a lot more adorable than the fellow other cryptids that we've looked at or passed to. I think it's because of our changing mindset, and that cryptids don't have to be scary. They have feelings too. Think about it. If you were a cryptid, would you not have feelings? And I think in this changing time, we're seeing cryptids and these monsters are more human than anything, because they're human fears coming from us. The reason these cryptids are made are the human fears rationalized into monsters so we can use them as punching bags. And while these stories are being told, maybe we shouldn't be afraid of the story itself and be afraid of the storytellers. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, it's the government. While the government may not be the exact perpetrator, they use similar tactics to what are basically cryptids and how people see cryptids. It's a scapegoat. It's a finger to point at, a person, a thing to point at and be like, hey, that is the problem. We need to destroy that. A representation of our problems. For example, Hitler. He used the Jewish people as a scapegoat. In America, during the Cold War, it was the Soviet Russians that were our enemies. And just look at any tragedy now, it always loops back to, oh, this group is wrong. This group is doing this, X, Y, Z. This group is the problem. We need to stop this group. We're always pointing fingers. I'm not saying these people are horrible people, some of them are, but I'm saying that this is the defensive maneuver. So fear. Fear is a very governing factor of our lives. It's a very massive motivator. Think about it. Without going a bit more primal, maybe more right? Homo sapiens, right? If you're afraid of something, you kill it so it doesn't hurt you. You destroy that thing that might harm you so you can live, to eat, to live, to breathe another day. It's a defensive maneuver. In short, fear is when self-aware creatures take a defensive stance. I mean, I'm sure you feel fear. If you're human, I mean. Oh, you know, I don't even have to be human. Are you human? Are you human? Are you sure you're human? Even now is a great tool for us to use, but that's the thing. It's a really hard mold to break from. It's really hard to break away from fear. But as we can see with the Mothman, we're starting to sympathize with these fears. We're starting to understand these fears and don't have to fear them, basically. If we understand this thing, we don't have to fear it anymore, and we can just make peace with it. We don't have to eliminate this group. We just have to cooperate with this group, to learn and be with and coexist with this fear, this group, with these cryptids. I have a Mothman sticker on my speaker. We're starting to see that fear is something that does not have to govern us, and we can actually coexist with the things that we used to fear. But there are certain peoples and governments and higher powers that are pushing fear into our throats in easy to understand ways. Like animal stories, it's easier for us to see the big bad wolf as a villain, or the arrogant bunny as bad or mistrustworthy. Maybe we don't have to fight. Maybe we can just feed Nian and make peace with him. Maybe we can help the Pontianak make rest with her soul and let her pass on to the afterlife. Maybe the Mothman just needs a hug. We can conquer our fears by understanding them and coexisting with the groups, as long as they aren't helpful. If we understand, we can conquer. Knowledge is power, but empathy is the generator to that power. I hope that makes sense. Anyways, I want to end this with a quote from Stephen Liam. Real original, I know, right? It says, "Getting killed was a hell lot worse than losing a meal."